Here we're going to talk more about the environmental problems, the protection and the business. We already know that what are the types of pollution, but we need to know what are the causes of pollution. The same way, many of the underdeveloped nations were being contracted with the developed nation for dumping. Water becomes pollutant primarily from chemicals and waste dumping. Hello everybody, a warm welcome to one and all. I'm Abhilash Chandra from the Department of Business Studies in Vidhyaashram PU College, the Temple of Excellence. Welcome to the session 6. Here we're going to talk more about the environmental problems, the protection and the business. What is that they are doing and how harmful the environment is only because of these business and the automobiles which we have and which we use on a daily basis. Now we need to understand that for any decision making of the business, the decision makers and the business manager need to always confront on the environmental protection. The reason is whenever you launch any product, you need to check that whether it will be a boon or a bane for environmental problems. Now here what happens is day-to-day activities is all carried and we need to check that which of them are harmful to the environment and which are the boon for the environment. Now when you understand this, there is a small gap between the business and the environmental protection thing, that is the government. The government need to bridge the gap between these two bodies. So the government need to have a proper regulations, that regulations which should be abided by the business firm and they shouldn't void it and they should practice it. But if we as an individual take care of our environment, what will happen is we will be very much happy and we will be living in this environment peacefully. But if the adverse effect happen, you all know what has happened to Delhi, Kanpur, Mumbai and now what is happening to Bangalore and Mysore. The reason is it's all about the environmental pollutions. Now we'll talk more about this. In this chapter, the business, the responsibility which we need to take, business and environmental protection, we need to know that protection of the environment is a serious issue that confronts the business manager and the decision makers. It is well known that the decision makers, whoever are the top level management, they need to check that whenever they have a new decision plan, that new decision plan should be actually in the guidelines of the government regulation and then they are supposed to go for it. Here the protection of the environment is directly related to the control of pollution. You need to understand that. It is directly related to the pollution. We only talk more about the pollution. So what types of pollutions we have, we need to check. We already know that what are the types of pollution, but we need to know what are the causes of pollution. So causes of pollution. First one is waste contained pollutants. Wastes contain pollutants which are materials of chemicals. See, when I say chemicals, it's always what the business which is there. Now here if you understand, the chemicals from the factory. Now the chemicals from the factory which actually comes, you would have seen the chemical industries whichever are near to the civilization, whichever are near to the cities, the local city pollutions are more, in the sense when it is like nearby and the people who are living nearby, they'll get suffocated. Best example I'll tell you. Whenever you go to any college and you have a science laboratories and the chemical reaction will be taking place, you will smell something called pungent smell. Again, it is all what? Your pollution, that is air pollution, right? Now, the waste contains pollutants which are the materials of chemicals that was being discarded during the process of production and consumption. So what will happen? That is a cause of pollution. Pollution is caused by these pollutants which are released into the environment beyond its assimilation capacity, beyond its assimilation capacity. That means the government has given a particular rate, that is till here you can actually go for the disposal. After that you are not supposed to. That means the production should be less. But still there are many companies, many factories who will not think about the government regulations, and they do more production and release more chemicals, that is the pollutant chemicals, in the environment. That will actually adversely affect their employees as well as the people who are surrounded the company and the factory. Next one is, we have types of pollution. So you have seen these types of pollution even in your 6th standard, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th. It's just a repetition of what it is. Firstly, we have is air pollution, water pollution, land pollution, noise pollution. So there are 4 types of pollution: air, water, noise, and land pollution. So what exactly happens here is, you need to understand, relate this to the business. Whenever there is any kind of business activity, the business usually do something called dumping. What is that called as? Dumping. I'll tell you more about this dumping. Australia being a country as well as a continent, it's a very small continent, right? Australia is a very small continent. Australian medical dumping, that is the waste, medical waste, whatever it is, in 2000s, early 2000s, what used to happen was, they used to send it to India and dumping used to happen. That means their medical waste, which they feel it is harmful for their civilization, their citizen, they thought that if we dump in some other place, then it will be easy for them. And what used to happen was, they used to dump it in the sea and the ocean. And now what will happen in the long run? It will actually harm the aquatic world, that is the water pollution. And you already know that the mutants, the mutations will happen. So some of the species will get endangered, some of the species will be killed. And now what will happen is, there is imbalance in the nature. The same way, many of the underdeveloped nations were being contracted with the developed nation for dumping. Now again, see, production should happen, wastage will happen, chemical reaction will happen. So what will they do? They will actually collect it everywhere and then they'll send it through the ocean and the sea, and then the cargo will come and dump the product in the sea, ocean, or the land. When they'll do it, what will happen? If they dump it in the ocean or sea, that will lead to water pollution. If they dump it in the land, it leads to land pollution. And excess work of the factory and excess work in the automobiles or all those things, the noise will be produced as well as the smoke will be produced. That is, the smoke will actually lead to the air pollution. The noise will lead to the noise pollution. So what is the thing? Try to understand. We need to always have a balance. That is, some certain limitations, limits should be actually placed by the government. If they void it, if they don't practice it, they are supposed to get more penalty on it, because they are using our resources, plus they are giving us something called harmful chemicals, which again is what? In return, what is that they are doing? So that's why the government regulation should be very strict, and they need to, that is, the company need to be abide by the rules and regulation of the government, and then they are supposed to stabilize their chemical reactions, the chemical and all those things, and whichever is harmful for the society, they are not supposed to use it. That's why, please understand, there are so many companies, the factories and industries that are placed outside the village, outside the city. The reason is what? It's because it is harmful. So nearby, no people will actually go and dwell their houses. That is the reason. Bhopal gas, that is, there was a accident, and Bhopal gas was actually lead to so many people who were asleep, they died while sleeping. The reason is what? Because of chemical accident, surrounding people, whoever the villagers were, they all died. So here what happens is, the question is, why is that they are into those chemicals which is very, very harmful? The question. So that's why you need to be very, very careful, and you would have seen so many videos, so many news you would have heard that because of somebody's mistake, many of them will actually lose their life. That somebody's mistake is what? The business enterprise's mistake. First is air pollution. What exactly it is? Air pollution is the result of a combination of factors which lower the air quality. See, you are supposed to know that air also has a quality measure. That is how it is. Till the green line, it is all perfect. Then you have something called the orange. Then you have something called the red. Then you have something called black. Now understand, these meters are very, very common now, that even if you check the values of the quality of air, you will be shocked that the surrounding where we are breathing, right, from morning 4:30 to 6:30 or 7, you get plenty of oxygen and it is safe for you to actually go for it. But nowadays, because of more business enterprises, even the 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock, you will actually feel that you are getting suffocated only because of those industries, automobiles and other air pollution. You can't even see the next person standing if you are in Delhi. The reason is all about the pollution. It is mainly due to what? It is mainly due to carbon monoxide, which has been emitted by what? Automobiles. See, the more production of car, bikes will happen, that will definitely lead to what? Air pollution. But it is inevitable that we need automobiles, right? That is how it is, which contributes to the air pollution. Water pollution. Now, how many of you have seen that? Many of the rivers, lake, pond, whatever, wherever you go, you see people taking shower there. You see people there washing their clothes there. You can see so many other kind of a thing. I can give like hundreds of examples where you would have already seen it. I don't want to repeat it the same thing. But you need to check what is that the business enterprises are doing. They are channelizing their waste in the water. Under the water, they are actually giving all their waste. So that is what we are not able to check. Water becomes pollutant primarily from chemicals and waste dumping. I told you about this word called dumping. Dumping means throwing those things to some other place. For years, business enterprise have been dumping waste into rivers, streams, lakes with little regard for the consequences. Now, what has happened is, knowingly, unknowingly, right? Knowingly, unknowingly, we don't know how to measure how much waste they are actually dumping in the rivers, because there is no proper measurement there. If there is a proper measurement for every business, we can't actually think about it. Government has given regulation, but still it is the ethical value, the business ethics, which will decide whether they are supposed to follow it or not. Many people will not follow it. Next is land pollution. Now here, dumping of toxic waste on land causes land pollution. This damages the quality of land making. It unfit for agriculture, for plantation. Now understand, there are so many ways we can actually explain this land pollution. I told you about Australia dumping their medical waste in India and some other part of the countries. Here you need to understand that production is happening, the waste will be dumped, but the problem is, wherever the waste is being dumped, now it is not suitable for agriculture. That is a problem. That means how much it is harming the land, air, water, you just need to imagine. The land which is very famous for cultivating any kind of a crop, if you have the waste of the dumping of chemicals in that particular area of the land, after cleaning it, you cannot produce any agriculture product. That means the land will actually lose its quality and fertility. That means how harmful it is. Restoring the quality of the land that has already been damaged is a big problem. Yes. See, once you dump anything on the land and after cleaning and all, to restore it, to restore the quality of land, it is again what? It's a very big task. And many say, example say 20% people have actually restored the land, but remaining 80% you cannot do anything after the dumping is done. So that is what the harmful effect of the pollution is. And the last one is the noise pollution. Yes, the side effects of noise pollution is too much. You need to understand that. The first one here is noise caused by running of factories and vehicles is not merely a source of annoyance, but is also a serious health hazard. The more, see, even your ear, when you go for something like maximum sound volume, that's why even in your phones, whenever you plug in with your earpod or your AirPod, what usually happens is there is a warning saying that the more the volume you take, it causes your damage in the ear. So here what happens, that is annoyance is there, but still some stress will also be generated. Noise pollution can be responsible for many diseases like loss of hearing, malfunctioning of the heart, and mental disorder. Yes, people can actually even go with mental disorder. Then you have hearing malfunction of the heart and mental disorder. That means what? You will actually have too many complications. When you will have too many complications, you need to understand that it's really bad and it will be very serious if you continue the same. I'll tell you, people who are in the border, that is our army, Jawans, soldiers, because of more sound of the bomb, the shelling or gun, what happens is they get the stress disorder. They have that some kind of a disorder. What will happen is it's all cause of noise pollution. And malfunctioning of heart, which is very, very bad, because your heart can resist few of the density of the volume. If it exceeds, what happens is you will get palpitation. When you get palpitation, chances of heart attack is more. That's why students, all these pollution, whether it is air pollution, land pollution, noise pollution, or water pollution, it's always, we call it as, it is harmful for the human as well as the other living creature which is done by the God. So this is what it is for you. Thank you so much. If you have any doubts, any problem, you can call us, you can message us. Till then, thank you so much. I'll see you when I see you.